Right. Hey everyone. Welcome to the January update for Mina Navigators program. Today we'd like to speak about the season 3 of Navigators and also provide the updates for the month of January. So agenda is in reverse. I'll provide the updates first. I'll quickly run through it because we have some exciting details to share about season 3, and we'll leave more time for Q&A after that. So as usual, we start with the statistics. So throughout the season 2 of Navigators, we have received 128 applications, and out of those, 34 have been funded. And currently, 22 of those have been delivered, and we are still working with the teams who are delivering the remaining ones. Now, coming to just the month of December, before holidays and up until now, we have received 21 applications, out of which 6 were funded. We have rejected 14 of them. There is a public review being carried out for 4 of those, and 2 of those are in the backlog. In terms of delivery check, we had 4 projects who crossed the finish line in the last 4 weeks. For the starter track, we have had 5 new grantees joined and welcome to the ecosystem. So in terms of payouts, up until date, we have paid out a total of 1.15 million Mina tokens, and there's still about 600,000 tokens which will be given out as the teams finish, as they are still in their build cycle. So just very quickly, I know we've gone through these proposals before. So the proposals which are funded are a proof of solvency proposal. There's an account update visualizer, passkey integration by the ID mask team. We have 2 RWA initiatives being funded, one by ChainM for implementing a supply chain finance, and ZK Prover from the StakeTab team and the FST. We also funded a ZK USD deployment readiness proposal. So this is moving the ZK USD implementation towards a full-scale deployment, and it's going to be done in 2 phases. And this is the first of the 2 proposals. For delivery checks, we had Scaffold Mina, smart contract wallet, which implemented account abstraction, Mina Schnorr signature verification in EVM, and Zero Pole. All the presentations are present on YouTube, so I highly recommend everyone please go check it out. In terms of statistics, in our lovely pie chart, we can see that we've added a new slice of RWA for 2 projects. We continue to fund infrastructure projects, which has also grown. And of course, ZKUSD adds to the DeFi section of it. And we are very excited to add more slices to the pie, and we'll get to that in a short while. So since it is the conclusion of the second season, I really wanted to highlight some of the projects who have done incredibly well. And I wanted to thank the teams and give them all a shout out. In no particular order, the first one is Zknoid. So Zknoid deployed an L1 lottery onto the Mina mainnet a couple of weeks ago. And you can already see the kind of interaction they had with the community. 183 users purchased tickets, and the first round bank was over 3,000 Mina. So huge congratulations to Andre, Alex, Neo, Shiroi, and Anthony. The second project to shout out is ZKUSD by Charlie Mack. This was an MVP built to research the SDK's offering on Mina. This diagram may not give out the complexity involved, but it's really well written. The research is on GitHub, so I do recommend everyone watching to please check it out. Custom token launchpad from DFST. We have been waiting for some of these ZK apps to come across the finish line. Now, custom token launchpad is just preparing for its mainnet implementation. Really sleek interface, and DFST just let us know that he's integrated AI into it already. So it would be interesting to see this proposal grow. Tilewell, from Satyam, Yash, and Ankita. Tilewell has been building with us for a long time. They have added more levels to the game. It's also exciting to see that there's also an NFT marketplace, and the Tilewell team has supported different sets of collections to launch and be interacted with the community. So huge kudos to the Tilewell team. Chose is another project which has been building with Mina for a long time. They are at a point where they are going to take this product out, get it tested with users. Really sleek interface. So again, a huge shout out to Estra, Mert, Yavuz. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Section and Ege. Now, this one doesn't have any interesting pictures next to it, but it is equally important. Scaffold Mina project by Ali and Emre. There are components built which are part of like Palette library, which other ZK apps should be able to integrate going forward. ZK Regex project by Mahmoud, and the account abstraction work which was done by Sergio. I will hand it over to Will to do the season 3 announcement.
Nice, thanks, Haresh. Yeah, and thanks. I see a bunch of different people on this call. Season 2 was also the first time that we had put an exploration team in place where certain people from the developer community actually participated in reviewing the application. So shout out to Carol and Dennis as well, because what we're trying to do is just have the demand for the grants come from the developers in the community who are actually deep in ONJS and understanding what we need, both on the application and infra side. So I would say like the main change going from season 2 to season 3 is we're going to kind of double down on that exploration team structure. We're going to be growing it, and we want to be a little bit more proactive around the types of applications that we want to see now that we have a continued better understanding of the toolkit and how people are using it. So if you go to the next slide, Haresh. So I by no means are these categories complete in terms of like we'll only be accepting applications for these areas. These are just more for you to think about as guideposts around where a large amount of the funding is going to be directed, because we think that these category areas are a good fit for currently where the Mina stack is at. But again, if you have an idea outside of these specific areas, we'd love to hear from you, and the applications will continue to be open for as long as there's budget left. And as Haresh mentioned, we have yet to kind of exceed our budget because we want to make sure that we are deploying the treasury with diligence, and that not only are the projects going to be bringing value to the ecosystem, but there's also a lot of work involved with making sure that the projects that are being applied are currently feasible with the stack. And as everyone on this call knows, but for those who might be watching back with the recording, Mina's architecture is quite different, and the way that you can build an application on Mina requires a different kind of way of thinking, as well as a more limited, but also potentially more expensive set of tools, depending on how you look on it. So with that, we're going to go actually into each of these categories. So I won't ruin the surprise, but as we go through it, again, keep in mind, this is where we're going to be directing a lot of our focus. But if you have ideas outside of this category area, please feel free to talk to us and also apply. I think I will pass it to Yasin.
Yep. So again, hello, and thanks for joining. As Will gave an intro, the biggest change from the season 2 to season 3 is we are bringing more product vision and direction to the program. And soon we will launch a blog. This is called Request for Startups, where we will go deeper in different verticals that we will also give a sneak peek during this presentation, thanks to different community members and our Navigators team. And the focus areas for this season are gonna be like verifiable applications, feeding the proof by building consumer or enterprise applications where you onboard different data groups such as web data, blockchain state data, or offline document data. And of course, we'll continue try to support meaningful infrastructure improvements such as building product specific runtime models or new 1JS primitives with npm packages, and also proof conversion architectures and different implementations. Last but not least, I think we'll also give a great example of this area, but we're also very excited about cross-chain applications using Mina as a proof aggregation and settlement layer. And I think I will start with the first category. Yeah. So it's just what we mean here is like integrating ZK to Web 2 and Web 3 is again like we're building verifiable applications, and it's like I think we need to, the good question to ask is what verifiable applications can bring to the current market. And I think the most used is like really building censorship resistant applications that give liveness guarantees and also prevent any manipulation or attacks to users or decentralized protocols. And here are some projects from the latest cohorts that we are already excited about, like and groups, anonymous and censorship resistant voting, auditable social media, attestation of real world assets, and also, as we all know, like the examples of gaming such as ZK Node and Tilewheel, identity and DeFi. Now I will hand it to Dennis to talk more about what we mean by feeding the proof.
Hey, so for feeding the proof, there are like a bunch of interesting things going on in the Mina ecosystem, and I would say one of the most exciting one is private credential standard. So basically, the private credentials API is designed to help import like any kind of real world data and credentials into the Mina ecosystem using the wallet attestation API. And with this standard, basically this standard ensures that ensures the unforgeability of credentials and unlinkability of multiple credentials, so that with this credential, it becomes possible to integrate use cases like ZK email, ZK password, or private set inclusion applications like WorldCoin's Proof of Humanity or any other Ethereum-related attestations in a really easy way. And additionally, this library also exports some like wide range of dynamic data types and hashing functions that could be used in other applications and primitives. And for example, one of them is dynamic SHA-256. So it basically plays a really important role in the Mina ecosystem, especially considering like self-sovereign identity projects and also ZK TLS use cases. And yeah, so as I mentioned, the other one is ZK TLS and its use cases. So we have this TLS protocol, which ensures encrypted connections between clients and servers in the current HTTPS protocol that we all use. And ZK TLS basically takes it further by making these connections verifiable and generating proofs for TLS handshakes between clients and servers. And with this verifiable proofs, ZK TLS opens up and like really so many like possible use cases of APIs and Web3 applications, including marketplaces for digital assets, for example, domains, or crypto on-ramps, gaming stuff, event stuff, and more.
Maybe I'll just jump in for a second. To the way to, I guess, think about the relationship between the previous slide and this slide is with the toolkit that Mina and ONJS give you, we want to really focus on bringing as much provable data onto both the Kimchi proof system and verified in on Mina, the network itself. And then we want people in the ecosystem or entrepreneurs to be able to build applications with that provable data. So there's kind of like the way to think about it is like we're thinking about how do we make as much data provable as possible. We want to work with existing ZK TLS solutions who are out there already working on their own implementation of this. We want to figure out how to get that on Mina or using Mina. We want to support developers who are thinking about building their own ZK TLS implementations, given the process that Dennis just mentioned. And then once we are kind of like bringing these data sources on, we want to see what kind of new and interesting applications that we can do with it. So just like Dennis mentioned, if we get World ID onto Mina, what can you do with that, and then in the context of KYC enabled DEX, for example, or private enabled DEX. That's kind of the framing of thinking. So if you're watching this recording, or if you're kind of like thinking about what to build, framing it in these kind of two categories of whether or not we're making data provable and bringing data into the ZK ecosystem, or actually then building applications that are leveraging this. We want to kind of attack it from both angles. Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, and yeah, to basically achieve that, one of the things we need is more and more and more and more O1JS primitives. This could be like anything such as like encryption algorithms or hashing algorithms, signature schemes, and more. And the other topic is proof conversion architectures. So recently, thanks to the work done by Geometry Research, it's currently possible to verify Groth 16 and Plonk proofs on Mina. And the first example of this implementation was Celestia, which demonstrated verifying Plonk proofs generated by SP1 ZK VM for Celestia blob illusion and consensus verification. And we are looking forward to have more research and development in this area, such as like other proofs-based use cases like semaphore voting proofs and so that. And also the other one is state bridges, and I think Carol will be explaining it as well. And another thing is also a line layer integration. We seek like more projects that integrate a line layer for using Mina state on Ethereum for use cases such as enabling privacy solutions on Ethereum using Mina. And I think now I'll hand over the microphone to Carol to tell about state bridges.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So let me explain that cryptic name Nori and maybe explain what it can do in terms of how we actually feeding the proof. So Nori is basically, it gives developers an access to all latest state of Ethereum mainnet inside their ZK apps. So developers will be able to verify any Ethereum data in trust minimized ZK proven way. What does mean? It's simply basically a way of saying that the ZK is used all the way through the stack, and you don't have to trust the operator. You can trust the maths. It will be usable via simple SDK, allowing ZK app developers to specify location of the data that lies on Ethereum mainnet and integrate that in their ZK app logic. What's cool about that is that developers can even use the data on Ethereum without need to change anything. So it's only the ZK apps stuff that they need to look at. Nori is the new idea, so it's not related to the work on the past bridges. It's been organically grown from community. Big shout out here to Dennis and Rafael from ProtoKit, who kind of helped clarify the vision. It's being executed by myself and my team, so please wait to hear from us more in coming months. Exciting first use case of Nori will be a Nori bridge, which will basically, it's a trust minimize token bridge, allowing to move Ethereum to Mina one way, basically allowing to mint Ethereum on Mina. Again, it's mainly focused to expose the SDK for other ZK app developers to utilize the all power of Ethereum layer 1 state, with hopefully many other blockchains coming in soon. So I guess that's a quick rag now. So back to you guys. Thank you.
Nice one. I think we have Yunus here. Thanks, Carol, for that, by the way. I think we have Yunus here. Yunus, are you with us?
Yes, hello.
Nice.
Can I take my turn in like 2 minutes? Would it be possible? Or
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you very much. I'm coming in 2 minutes.
No problem. So maybe if we just go back to the last slide for a second as well, I want to clarify one thing. So Nori is an implementation of a state bridge that is built on top of proof, just to show how these things are related. Nori is going to be taking advantage of proof conversion architectures coming from, in this case, a Helios-like client written in Rust, proved by SP1, which then we're able to verify in Kimchi, as Carol mentioned, and build an implementation of that, which is the token bridge. A line layer is an example of proof conversion going the other direction from Kimchi to Ethereum using a slightly different approach. We've seen some questions in public, and the original work that was contracted with the Align Layer team and the Lambda class team was actually to build out that proof conversion infrastructure and to not only for Align Layer as a standalone thing, but originally the project originated from building the to Ethereum bridge and verifying Kimchi. So what we need is just to put it to be very direct, we need somebody to operate that infrastructure with a use case in mind. And one of the first, most obvious use cases that we see going the other way is also a token bridge implementation going from Mina to Ethereum. So just to be really clear, if anyone has one of those ideas or knows somebody, a lot of the groundwork has already been done by the Align Layer team. And we'll be kind of more explicit about this in the document afterwards that we're going to publish afterwards, to just say, yes, we want lots of use cases with Align Layer, but we also think implementing a token bridge, just using that infrastructure that's already there, will be a quick win for the ecosystem. While we wait for Yunus, does anyone have any questions or things to add, or other ideas and things they'd like to see? Yeah.
I would love to add a bit of context to ONJ's blockstream architecture, as I think it actually unlocks quite a bit of potential. So it will allow any developers to use zkVM proofs and settle them on Mina. So that means that if you have already application that works with a zkVM, regardless of what application it is, it might be SP1 zkVM, it might be RISC-0 zkVM, and hopefully many more to come. Basically simply are allowed to verify that state, that proofs on Mina, which kind of unlocks quite a big opportunity there. And as I chose mentioning, that is there's a lot of interesting use cases that you can start playing around with.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, hey, News.
Sorry if you're taking questions.
No problem. Yeah, I just want to pause really quick. Does anyone have any questions on that or anything they want to add? Okay. Yunus, are we ready to go to you now?
Yes, thank you very much. And so sorry for waiting. Hello, everyone, again. So yes, for me, I'm going to talk about cross-chain apps in Mina, especially about proof verification and how to design Mina as a settlement layer. As you probably all know, Mina is not designed as a full blockchain at start. It was designed more like a verification layer, a global verification layer, to allow verification of any data on the chain, basically. And Mina has some certain advantages of the verification layer. You can also use Ethereum in its architecture. And each day Ethereum is going more and more similar to Mina with updates they're having. For instance, the roadmap, the ZK rollup roadmap for Ethereum is really similar to the ZK apps roadmap of Mina. But in the end, since Ethereum is not designed to do so, but is only converted to be like Mina's initial architecture, is not as efficient as Mina. So Mina has very certain advantages as a ZK verification layer, settlement layer. And thus we wanted to make use of these advantages more. So one of first implementations of this Mina, unique to Mina architectures was ZK-Bot, a product that we recently completed I think a month ago. Thank you. So first of all, I think it's interesting because it's really distributed in the sense that it uses its clients to perform computation, which didn't exist till very recently in the history. So it scales as with each new participant joining the network. So that's one of the first impressive parts of ZK-Bot. This also allows us to preserve privacy while doing so. So basically, it uses client to make computation, and since the information never leaves client, it becomes a very private voting system without even needing any audit. And also, this client-side approach allows us for the scalability of verification, especially in complex operations, because each participant can actually contribute to the proof aggregation and proof generation by parallel execution, parallel computation, and that's I think a very unique use case over Mina's Kimchi proofs. Other ZK proof systems can also achieve that. But if you are not especially optimized to do parallel proof aggregation, then there are some limitations coming into play. And since Mina is initially designed to do so through Marketplace, for instance, it was really easy to design a parallel marketplace in order to achieve ZK votes aggregation. And even though right now, like the aggregation times for O1JS proofs are not great, especially considering O1JS is still living in WASM, we were able to achieve very impressive numbers. For instance, like right now, it's possible to run 1 million election on ZK-bot like in less than 5 hours, which is very scalable. So you can even make US elections in ZK-bot in about like a day, which I believe is like, yes, thank you, a very unique use case. Plus, since it uses parallel execution, it's also very cheap. Right now, sending and counting a vote in ZK like takes less than a cent, which is much cheaper than real life elections. Please like be aware here that like I'm not actually comparing Mina or ZK vote to any other blockchain, but to actual Web2 use cases, which is like Mina's real power. In other blockchains, they're comparing to very little scalable systems, less scalable systems like, for instance, Visa, MasterCard, which are not designed that much scalable in head. But with Mina, like we can actually use real life use cases. Add some examples. One of them is voting, for instance, a very hard scalable example, or social medias, for instance, which blockchain can right now say that like they have enough TPS to actually support Instagram on chain. And I believe with Mina's parallel execution off chain layer, this is possible. And finally, like I think the most important take from like this product and this idea is the modular design. Modular is not a keyword used really often in Mina ecosystem. I think it was initially proposed by Cosmos like 10 years ago, and then it was like made famous by Celestia a while ago, like 2 years ago. But Mina designed as a modular chain at start, even without without the keyword of modularism at the time. The thing is that like Mina does not perform everything. That's true. Like it doesn't store unlimited on-chain data. We have data stored just for them. Mina doesn't offer very fast finality. It has a hard finality process, etc. But it offers some other unique advantages. So it becomes modular because it does like some things very well in return of not doing some other. And that's why like we need to use Mina's other blockchains. And there, like we need to actually find some clever ways to connect other blockchains into our application without requiring any bridges or similar. And in ZK, we exactly did that. And that's why like we say cross-chain applications. That word cross-chain is really important because usually when people say cross-chain, they either mean that they are bridging some assets or some information from one to the other, which is okay, but like that's usually very centralized and even if not very not scalable. And the second problem is that like they use cross-chain as if they have the same application on 2 different chains at the same time. Here we don't mean either. We mean that like we have an application that depends for something on one chain and for something else on the other chain, as we explained in the term modularism, modularity. For instance, in ZK Vault, we do the proof generation and proof aggregation off-chain using O1JS, Mina's proof generation framework. Then we settle the election results and store the elections succinct result, I would say, the result of counting on Mina. But the votes itself don't even reach to Mina at any point. Votes are not orchestrated to Mina, but they're orchestrated through from another layer, a DA layer, specifically a data availability layer like Celestia or Avail, without needing a bridge. And this allows like us to achieve this cross-chain architecture. Yes, I think like that was an overall view of Mina. Sorry, like cross-chain applications on Mina. Honestly, I can say that this design, this architecture is stronger than anything else. That's for sure because it's actually using what is optimized for each task. There is no better way of communication than data availability layers, no better way of storing data than hard storage layers like Filecoin, and there's no better way of settlement but a succinct blockchain. So we can like be very sure that that's like one of the most optimized ways of achieving, for instance, a voting application, and it should be definitely extended to other different types of applications. I would say other types of applications. But I guess the only issue is that right now it's a bit complex to do an application like that. It took like 5 months for us, and I think like if you will design something around that, it can be a little hard at start. But right now there are code examples, a lot of tutorials on this. So if you are designing a modular architecture, please let us know, and so we can help with the technical challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Yunus. I'm sorry to ask you a question. You probably need a breath of fresh air, but or like, where do
Of
you see
course.
the lowest? Do you have any kind of like low-hanging fruit or kind of
Mhm.
in terms of if you were to build some a cross-chain application that wasn't a voting application, have you thought about what the next categories that make sense are?
That's a very interesting question. So first of all, I guess the lowest hanging fruit is like a questionnaire application for public polls, for instance, or a whistleblowing application for founders saying something bad about company by proving they are being a founder but without revealing their identity. These type of use cases have a lot of value for sure, and they're actually easier to create than a voting application. They have less strict requirements around scalability and decentralization. So I would go for these two, especially at start. Then I believe games and similar, anything that you can describe in discrete steps, meaning that like the state of the application changes in incremental functions, can be very well created with this model. I think that's also like an easy use case. And in the future, like I guess the most complex thing that you can do with such an architecture is like a DEX, decentralized exchange. It's complex because first of all, it needs a much faster finality. So like the finality processes should be much more scalable. That's one bottleneck. Second, there is this effect of MVV that should be prevented. There are some ways, and we are also working on some architectures. I believe in 2025 or latest 26, we will also have some example DEXs on Mina using this modular architecture. But for now, I can say like that's one of the hardest examples to code.
Cool. Well, thank you very, very much for coming to present and also for all of the hard work on
Thank you.
ZK Vote and designing an architecture that others can use. It's a really strong step forward for the ecosystem. And if anyone's watching this recording and they actually have a use case for ZK Vote, or not a use case, but they want to be able to implement ZK Vote for a election that they're having, you know where to find Yunus on Discord or on Telegram, or just hit any of us up and we'll connect you. Okay, I'm not sure who's next, Suresh, but maybe we keep going.
Yeah. Again, thanks a lot, Yunus, and I'm really excited to see for this new genre of cross-chain applications to grow. And thanks for your help as always. As we covered briefly, like the focus areas that we will be having our eyes on in the next season 3. So let's also talk about the process and how the grant structure and evaluation criteria works. So in the season 3, we will be also providing starter and growth grants again, and the budget of the program overall is increased to 2.3 million Mina tokens. We still have starter track. There is no changes, and devs or teams can be provided with a one-time grant up to 15K Mina based on their experience or background or the track record in other ZK ecosystems. And also, this is again usually aimed for 1 month of runway, and we will have a new exploration team to set and like evaluate milestones for the grantees, and it stays invites only, mainly for the hackathon winners that Mina sponsors, such as, for example, now we have eToxford coming in the beginning of February. So if you're in UK, feel free to join and meet with us there as well. I think we can continue with the next slide, Harish.
Maybe I'll just yeah. So just the call to action here is if you're watching the recording and you've been wanting to explore Mina, we know the challenges that come with being able to explore a new architecture, and that's time, and time costs money. And so we have a deliberate approach where we want to fund you as long as your application is your interest is credible and you have some experience and you have a vision for what you want to build, please come talk to us. And we found this model to work quite well in terms of onboarding people, because once people find out about how Mina works, they usually tend to stick around. Yeah, please let us know. Thanks, Yasin.
Sure. And yeah, thank you to you as well. I think it's again useful to highlight Mina's architecture and technical properties are very different from other blockchain ecosystems, and that's why StarterTracks helps in that manner to help you even make a proposal for growth track. And if you have a then like idea or a proper architecture that you want to build on top of Mina mainly in these focus areas, but not staying with in that area as we'll highlighted. So, but if you have a good understanding of Mina, how it works, O1GS and ProtoKit, Growth Track is your place to build a promising business. And growth grants again will be awarded to teams or proposals which will meet these following evaluation criteria that I will share briefly. So we will mainly and like primarily looking for the teams that build on the request for startups focus, and we will share a blog soon detailing about these areas that we briefly talked about during this presentation. And the evaluation criteria that will be considered will be if the proposal or the project if it takes advantage of Mina's tools and services such as private credential API, token standards, or like any zk-TLS integration that Mina ecosystem has. And on top of that, within the season 3, we're also looking for teams that they want to grow and create a business. And we think having a credible plan to bring users with your product or having high-value partners, B2B, is critical. And how you reflect this plan or business plan to community as well matters. Another one is, as now we have token standard, we think projects can also create and plan like token economies. And so this will be another criteria that we will look into it. And last but not least, also probably the most important is like having a credible technical architecture. As we highlighted, Mina is very different, and having the right architecture is very critical for you to be successful in the ecosystem. And as Will said, if you need time or more expertise and more support and also more playground, we have StarterTrack for you to get involved and start learning more about Mina in terms of technical aspects. And the structure of the grant stays same. So you can propose up to 100K Mina, and the delivery duration will stay within 1 and 3 months. And thanks again. I think if you have questions, we're very happy to address them. And also, if you don't have, we also put this FAQ. So like the program is going to run till 31st June 2025. Applications are already open right now, and now they will automatically move to season 3.
Thanks, Yasin. I'll just open it to the audience. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. Don't be shy. Come on the microphone. Let us know if you have any questions, and you can always hit us up on any of our social channels. Cool. Like I guess maybe just as we've gone through in the presentation, there are like very new exciting areas which are present in the ecosystem now, and we would love to for you to come and build with us. I don't see any questions, so thank you all for joining, and I'll see you all in the trenches. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.